Here today with Rich Callahan, Lunch with the Hero. And Rich, which branch of the military did you serve in?
U.S. Navy.
U.S. Navy? Cool. My best friend's in the Navy. The guy actually serving in Japan right now. What years were you in for?
I'm enlisted in 89 to 94.
Cool.
Yeah.
What made you want to enlist?
I've always wanted to be in the military.
Yeah.
So I joined, and my dad was Navy. So I actually joined the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And then my dad's like, just go talk to the Navy for me. I'm like, Dad, I don't want to be in the Navy.
Yeah, I want to be a Marine.
Yeah, so I had everything signed up, and then so I went to talk with my, because my dad right out of high school, and I was in there with the senior chief, and he goes, I said, I'm just here for my dad, don't plan on joining, but I'm here to appease him. He's like, well, what are you doing? I said, I'm joining the Marine Corps. He goes, what do you want to do, hump an 80-pound sack through the hills all day? And I'm like, yeah, kind of. So he showed me the Navy SEAL recruiting film, and I'm like, sold, I'm done. So, yeah, I actually went to Buds.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I washed it. I tore my intergroin ligament in Buds.
Oh, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
God.
So I just spent my time in the Navy. I spent over in the Persian Gulf.
Yeah?
I was over in Shield and Storm, and I flew on helicopters and did damage assessment of different things.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I flew onto the USS Iwo Jima when the boiler room blew and killed 7 people. And did all the damage assessment of that. U.S. Coal had some issues and just all kinds of things. Just.
So how'd you get into damage? Was that like?
Well, I was a HT was my rate, which whole maintenance technician. After I got hurt, they put me on a destroyer tender in the Gulf, and I don't know why they picked me, but I got lucky and got on this damage assessment crew, and I got to fly off the ship almost every day.
Yeah.
Had fun.
That's
it
cool.
was a good time.
So you get to get out. Because my best friend, he actually, he'll be 20 year, but he was in Japan for 6 years, came back, went to officer training, got to flight school, and now he flies Blackhawks and over in days and out of Japan. Married and back over there, and he's getting out all the time. So I think that was his goal, is like, if I need to be here longer, I need to find a way to where I can leave the ship every now and then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's cool that you got to do that. I understand that there are things called damage assessors, like for insurance companies. Like I had a buddy whose dad was one, and if there was a massive storm somewhere, like say like there was a hailstorm in Colorado, he'd fly out and assess, all these cars and dealerships, businesses, whatever. Is that kind of the same thing?
Kind of. So we reported back to. So we did a damage assessment. So we flew onto a ship that had something going on, some kind of problem. That's good. And so for example, I was on the USS Iwo Jima forever. That killed the 7 people because somebody put brass bolts onto a main steam valve down in the steam room, destroyed the boiler room. So my job was to go in and kind of do what I thought it was going to take and how many days it was going to take to do a repair.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times I did do some repairs too. So they sent me, and I could weld anything non-nuclear. So I welded high-pressure steam lines a lot too. So
that's cool.
And then I had to do samples on all the lagging and stuff in the boiler room, see if there's asbestos in it. And then if that happened, then we had to send a crew in. But a tender, they don't even have them anymore. A tender is just a repair vessel. So we were our own little battle group behind a main battle group, and that's what we did. That was our everyday thing.
That's interesting. It's so cool. This thing I've been doing for almost 2 years now. Every week, it's somebody with a completely different perspective, and more than likely a different job. I've had a couple guys that were gunners. I've had a couple guys that were maintenance on ships and stuff. But almost always, it's always just a completely different job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's just so many stuff. So you said you're in the Gulf. Did you spend a lot of time in? Did you get to get off the ship and go in the Middle East, or did you just mainly
Bahrain. So when we got the Iwo Jima blue, we were in Bahrain, so I spent some time there because we pulled up and we had to get that ship running because it was full of Harriers and helicopters and a bunch of Marines that were ready to go, and we had to get that ship back up and running. So that we were running. Sometimes we were running 23-hour working, sleeping for 4, and then working back 23 hours. And trying to get that going.
What kind of run of days was that? How many days would you do that for?
I only did the 23s for about 5 days. But it was about all I could do, you know. And I mean, so we had to...
And sleep for 4 hours, get up and go back to work.
Yeah, but I was young then. Man.
Yeah, I know. I know. I
and
think
you're
about,
like, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine. I can do it now.
And so my whole combat experience, we were out in the middle of the Persian Gulf, went into general quarters. We were being supposedly attacked by the Iraqi Navy. A destroyer off to my side, shot a surface to surface, hit a boat 14 miles away. I didn't get to see it. That was it, man.
That was it?
Yeah. I got to watch all the Tomahawks launch, though.
Oh, I bet.
So
yeah.
we were watching that almost every night.
Dude, I played audio when they shot some of those a couple months back. They had nat audio of what one of them sounds like.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even describe. The reason I played it for listeners was because I was like, I don't think a lot of people know what this actually sounds like.
Yeah.
You know, you hear guns in movies and TVs, and it's not what that sounds like. They sound more like black cats going off, unless it's a bigger rifle, which, you know, that is a whole other thing. But those Tomahawks, dude,
they're pretty cool to watch, too.
Yeah, they're cool to watch, but they're loud.
They come out of the ship, they're like,
yeah,
almost like
and they hover, and then they go.
like shoot those wings out.
Yep.
Yeah. It was pretty awesome. I had a lot of fun. I mean, I enjoyed the military.
You said before we started that your boy is stationed in Hawaii?
Well, not anymore. I have two boys. They both joined the military. My oldest son joined the Navy. He's a hospital corpsman. Spent a lot of time in Afghanistan. That's pretty rough on him. He's still trying to deal with that because, you know, just dealing with... He was the guy that, not on the helicopter, but once the helicopter landed, he took him, unloaded, and then took him into triage, and so he's pretty rough on that. You know, saw a lot of stuff. Yeah. He's still in. He's in Corpus Christi.
Okay.
He's planning on staying in until he retires.
Yeah.
My other son, he did 4 years in the Marine Corps in the 1-3 in Hawaii, Japan. Yeah. You know, he spent a lot of time there. Korea. He's out. He's one of my technicians now.
Oh, cool.
For me at Air Services.
Yeah. So you work for all services now.
Yeah, I run all services.
So it's your deal.
It's not mine. No, not for another 2 years. I'm supposed to own it in 2 years, but I do run 100% of it. So
cool.
The owner is he's a retired IT guy from Nebraska. Bought a heating and air company and knows nothing about it, but we run it.
That's cool.
He owns 2 more now in Texas.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, now I got a friend in the business. I'm calling you.
Yeah.
I actually had not this last flood, but the flood that we had in January will be 2 years ago. This coming January, do you remember? And it was right around Christmas. It was right around the first of the year. I was about ready to close on a house. Literally the weekend before we closed, it flooded in there. And I was kind of looking after the house because the owners were in Florida, and it was kind of like a family friend type deal. And so yeah, we lost we had to replace the blower and all that stuff. So I think I'm good. I usually test it, so that'll be about a couple months before I call you. But I'm glad I have a friend in the business. It's always
definitely.
good.
Yeah.
So yeah, what'd you do when you got out? Did you straight go into what you're in now?
No, I became a deputy sheriff for 8 years in Arkansas.
Wow,
so
that's awesome.
I'm from out west originally. While I was in the military, my parents moved to Arkansas.
Okay,
so I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, most
really?
of my life.
Yeah, that's cool. I actually lived in there in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
My dad worked for IBM.
Yeah.
And sold for them from about. God, we went there. It was like 84 to 88, something like that.
I graduated high school in 89, but I graduated in California, so I moved to Vegas when I was 1972, moved out of there probably about 86.
Yeah, we may have seen me going to Circus at some point.
Yeah, there you go. I worked on that for a while after I got out of the military, you know, that big pink dome.
Yeah.
I worked on the crew building that.
Really?
Yeah, I set the very top piece of that glass.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother world that people don't understand. Like
yeah.
When I was there, I described it as like you could still see the mob money in the town. It's completely different now. It's not the same.
Well, when the mob ran it, we didn't have much of a gang problem.
Yeah.
No, I mean, there was a gang, obviously, but yeah.
Crime wasn't as bad as it is now in Vegas, I don't think.
Oh, no.
No, not even close.
Different kind of crime,
yeah. Well, yeah, different. Well, crime that you never see, which, I mean, good or bad, I'm sure as a law enforcement, you can say that if one's going to exist.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, you know, my dad owned a landscaping company there, so I was raised in landscaping most of my life until he got out of it and kind of hurt his back. He got hit by a concrete truck in another vehicle, but it kind of jacked him up. But, it was like he had some friends, some connections. It was kind of I remember one time he was like having trouble collecting money from some guy, and there's a guy that over to visit him. He's like, "Do you want me to take care of it for you?" And he's like, "How are you going to take care of it?" He goes, "You know what I mean." He's like, "No, I don't want you to take care of it for me."
The only story I've ever heard, we had a buddy who does like concert rigging, but big deals, like the Super Bowl, Bonnaroo. Like they go out a week before, they build it, and then they just sit.
Yeah.
And they wait and they tear it down. It's grueling, extremely dangerous, and he makes a lot of money. But he was describing to me the difference between going to like union areas and non. Like when they go to Chicago, for example, to set up, it's all union. And he's super gung ho. He's like he's pretty high up, but he doesn't care. I mean, he will move, he'll work, he'll just like the lowest guy on the totem pole. So he goes to Chicago. He sees all these dudes in suits just kind of hanging around, and he's just like, screw this. And he starts moving stuff, and someone's like, no. And he's like, what? And he goes, he tells him, then he tells him, and then he tells him to move that. And he's like, what?
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, okay. Yeah. And so that was just kind of how it goes, you know. That's a whole nother world. It doesn't make any sense to me.
The union thing, yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Like, well, just the way that operation worked. I was just like,
well, it's like that in a lot of things. Or seniority.
Yeah.
The worst worker, but if he has seniority, he's the one that gets to work, while the hardest worker...
Shit floats, man.
Yeah.
So we're part of Arkansas. Did you?
Man, you know where Melbourne's at by any chance?
East, west, south?
North, central. So, you know where Mountain Home is?
Yeah.
It's probably about 50 miles from Mountain Home is where I started.
Okay.
Man, not even a traffic light in the whole county.
Yeah.
So Vegas to there, culture shock.
Yeah.
Became a deputy sheriff, all things, because of military background.
Yeah.
And made no money. Had to buy my own gun. I mean, it was crazy.
So it was like
it was horrible.
It was kind of like the Andy Griffith Show a little bit.
Oh man, I don't think I had 2 weeks training, and they're like, "Here's your car, here's your shift." I'm like, really? No academy, because the academy was backed up for a year and a half.
At the time? Wow.
Yeah. So I was a cop for a year and a half before I went to the police academy.
Wow.
Yeah. So but most of the time, then I went down to Batesville, Arkansas, which is Independence County.
Uh-huh.
So that's a little bit bigger. There's at least 20 guys per shift.
Yeah.
And stuff, because up in Melbourne, Izard County is what the county is, and it was, most of the time it's dead. But if something ever happened, well, I had a domestic with a gun. I got the guy in the back of my car. I had the whole family there. The neighbor, because it was in a trailer park, came out and let him out of my car while I was trying to deal with the wives. He's out in the woods with the gun because he got a gun. He got his handcuffs in front of him. I opened, and his door was open, and you could see an empty holster there. So I call for backup. There's only one other cop that's backup. He hits a deer doing 90.
Oh my God!
So now they got to wake somebody up. So I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. I don't know what I'm doing here. Small town, but I liked it. I got out because I was raising my 3 kids by myself.
Yeah, I got you. That's cool. That's definitely that's crazy. I have one of my good friends' wife works. She's an archaeologist, but the term doesn't really describe. Like, she's not Indiana Jones. What she does is like companies that need to, like, for example, if those light poles that cut the woods, before they go through and clear all that out, they send a team in to go and start digging. Especially if there was stories of native people in the area, so that the company can get a report back and say, okay, we found these kind of pottery, from this culture, we can't do anything here, right. Or we didn't find anything, we checked, it's all good, build. And that's what essentially she does. Before she did that, she would do internships down with the Park Service in Arkansas, and she's not like big bad. Like, she's really cool and does what she needs to do. But you look at her and she's precious, I guess would be the best way to describe it. So she gets in there and they're like, okay, here's the one thing. And you are not going to have any problems clearing trails and going through and make maintenance and all that stuff. If you get to a sign that says keep out, do not go down there, because the separatists down there do not screw around. They will shoot you on sight. They do not care. And we won't go there.
Yeah, I've had to serve warrants on those places, those compounds.
I can't even imagine.
Well, they don't recognize police officers. They don't recognize state troopers.
But they recognize sheriff.
They recommend deputy sheriffs because it's elective position. So yeah.
So
you're still scared.
So they'd send you guys.
Yeah, we'd serve warrants, arrest people. Yeah, that was pretty rough. Yeah,
and that's all over the place down there, man.
And they'd have like people like up in the woods, like in little bunkers and stuff when you
got
out there.
Dude, it's a whole nother.
And you're just like, really, guys? We're in Arkansas, man. We're not in Korea.
It's gorgeous land, though, man. There's some gorgeous spots. The Buffalo and everything down there. I've spent a lot of time down there floating and camping and hiking and stuff. I love that place. We're going down there this weekend. But yeah, it's if you go down a path and you start to see signs of this isn't where I need to be, turn the hell around and get out of there.
Just in Izard County, there was 3 big compounds.
Really?
Yeah. And just one county. You know how small counties are in Arkansas.
Yeah.
And then Independence County, there's a couple, but there wasn't much. But yeah, try going to serving a warrant and arresting somebody, man.
By yourself, and you guys sent a whole bunch of dudes.
It's just me and one other guy.
Golly.
Yeah. So it was, you're freaking out sometimes, but what do you do?
What are you going to do? It's your job, right?
That's right, yeah.
Well, thank you so
much.
Making
$10 an hour. Yeah.
So now doing your thing with all service is definitely probably a little bit different situation.
A whole lot different.
Yeah. Well, Rich, thanks for coming to lunch with me today, man. And your service in and out of the military obviously continued afterwards. So good stuff, man. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you. Appreciate lunch.